Reece, who marched for me 50 years ago.
A champion for voting rights.
We're going to bring you people that know about business. We're going to bring you people that know about what's going on in the tech. Put some soul into this whole tech thing that's going on.
She's a fighter for the people.
Welcome, Reverend Al Sharpton, to the show.
Congratulations on your show.
She's authentic.
We're bringing Joe Madison, known as the Black Eagle.
Congratulations on having the show. Nothing is more important than the local programs that engage our communities.
She's a proud HBCU grad. It's time for Alicia Reece's Soul Food, Food for the Soul, on Cincinnati's 24-hour urban gospel connection, Inspiration 1050 AM and 103.1 FM WGRI.
Fun. Woo! Y'all get to the radio, 103.1, 1050 AM. Thank y'all for listening to Alicia Reece Soul Food. We are in year 9. Oh my gosh. We're in year 9, y'all. We don't need to wait to 10. We got to celebrate year 9. We're going to do some things. We've got some great things happening. February, we're busting out. Busting out. You know that song? Busting out. We're going to be busting out with some new things, some new features to, just improve what we're doing, And this weekend is a big, tough weekend. I mean, we're talking winter storm alert. And I'm not talking just in Cincinnati, not just in Hamilton County, not just in Ohio. We're talking flights are being canceled. We're talking church services. I know a lot of you church pastors out there. I've gotten the messages. You said we're going to be having church on Friday, church on Saturday early, because early Sunday morning, there's supposed to be snow what they're talking, I don't know, 6 to 8 inches. I'm not sure. We're going to have the experts come on and give you the hot sauce on what to do. I'm even nervous. I looked at I got a new heater that they said they put in a new heater. And when I left the house, it said my house was at 75. Now, I turned that thing on 78. So I want to make sure, because I don't want to be in there shivering. I want to make sure that I'm ready for this. I'm really not ready. I'm not a person. I don't like cold weather. I don't like it at all. Yes, I was born in, people say, well, but you were born and raised in Cincinnati. That doesn't mean I have to like everything. And cold weather is something I do not like. I don't like cold weather. I like to hibernate in the cold in the winter. And then how about spring is my favorite time? Summer gets a little too hot sometimes, but spring is my favorite. I don't like the fall because I don't want leaves that I got to rake. So I'm not big on fall. I don't like the fall because I get sinus headaches. So when it gets that dark, whenever it's dark and doesn't have that sunlight, I need sunlight. I need it. I need sunlight to keep my creative juices going, to keep my energy going. You get the sun, you just think you can do anything, But when it gets dark, when you wake up, dark when you go to sleep, it gets dark at like 5 or 6 o'clock, and my body starts saying, it's dark. It's time to go to bed. And I'm fighting my body. No, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. And so you have all that going on. Now, on top of that, I don't want snow except on Christmas Day. And then after Christmas Day, I'm ready to say, okay, let's move on. Time to move on. But unfortunately, we're in January, then we got February. And so we have inclement weather. And we're dealing with some things now where you're starting to see, not just the snow storms, but you're starting to see what they call global warming is really happening. It's really happening. Areas have never had snow, they get snow sometimes. And it's shocking to them. And they don't know what to do. And we've had floods. And we just got so much going on. Fires. You in California, fires. All this stuff. And poor Kentucky. Shout out to Governor Beshear. Poor Kentucky. That's just right across the bridge from us. We got a lot of people listen that are from Northern Kentucky. We had the mayor of Covington on about 2 weeks ago. And I feel sorry for Kentucky because they have been through it. They have been through it. So, we want to, you're hearing a lot. The weatherman's on, the weatherwoman's on. They're telling you all these things. But we want to tell you what's going on and get you ready. So, we want you to get ready. So you're already ready, right? If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That's why I always say, stay ready, and then you don't have to get ready. And I have to admit, I don't stay ready when it comes to emergency management and what I should be doing. I got to run out and get the batteries. I was at Kroger's this morning. I thought I beat the crowd, y'all. I even beat the butcher. The butcher hadn't come in yet. The butcher, I said, where is the meat? I don't know if y'all remember that Wendy's commercial, where's the beef? I came and said, where's the meat? And I beat the butcher in there. But the people were grabbing that food so fast. And a lot of things they don't have, some things they do have. And it was a madhouse. And that was early this morning. So get what you need. I got to still get salt. I'm going to find out what kind of salt I'm supposed to be getting so I can be prepared, hopefully the best I can. Duke Energy, we're going to talk a little bit about, they said, what happens if they go off the grid? Duke Energy, this is my message to you. Do not go off the grid because the bills are high. We should be off any grids. That would be disastrous. And to the other person, Spectrum TV, because they sent out a notice and it's unacceptable. This is the time I need Spectrum. This is the time I want to watch the movies. This is the time I want to use all the channels that I get charged for because I'm stuck in the house. So this is not the time, Spectrum, to go off the grid. This is not the time, Duke Energy. If the bills are going up, we can't go off the grid. So we got to be prepared. I'm sure they're out there being prepared. We're getting prepared, hopefully. And this is just not the time for stuff to go out. Also, this show is called Alicia Reece Soul Food. For those who are cooking, this is the time to try the new recipes. Don't try them during Thanksgiving. Don't say, oh, Thanksgiving come. I'm going to try something new. No. Today and this weekend is the time to try some new recipes. I'm going to try some new ones off of TikTok and see how they come out. This is the time to do your own taste testing. Don't wait to Thanksgiving. We don't want anything new and untried on Thanksgiving. Okay? So this is the time to try those new recipes and those things you've seen on TikTok. And so you'll get, I'd like to know what kind of recipes you guys are going to try. Send us some pictures, post them. Let me see them. What did you cook? What did you eat during this winter alert? Winter alert. Okay. So tell everybody to get to the radio. Those who are watching us on social media, I need y'all to share, because we're bringing the right information from the people who know it. Now, you hear about the weather people, they come on and they say, I'm the weather person and I've got the answer and I know what's going to happen and tune in to me. But behind all of that, there's a thing called emergency management. Emergency management. And that person, that agency is dealing with all of the information all across the country. And each county, of course, has one, but they get all the information. So I want to bring on the show. Y'all get ready. I said, what's going to happen this weekend? What's the weather going to be? Tune in. Tell the people, get to the radio. Turn it up loud. Share. Here is the man that knows, that has all the information. Mr. Nick Crossley, who is the director of emergency management for Hamilton County, but he is dealing with everybody. I mean, you deal with all of the alerts, and we're going to talk about that. How do you get these alerts and how does that work? But Nick, welcome back to the show. It's been a little while since we had you on, but it's great to have you back. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Okay, now first of all, tell people what exactly. How do you know this stuff is coming? Is there technology? How do we know that a winter storm is on the way?
So we work closely with the National Weather Service, our local offices in Wilmington, Ohio. And several days out, they start sending us communications that we need to start paying attention to this front that's coming through. And then as the forecast gets refined, if you will, then we start understanding sort of what will the impact be. Of course, I'm mainly concerned about Hamilton County. And so we start watching what the impacts may be to us, and then we start communicating with all our communities. You can't assume that people are watching the news or paying attention to other sources. So we have a broad contact list, hundreds of contacts with our both governments. We have 49 communities in Hamilton County, plus multiple people within those communities that we notify of the weather. And then we also notify our nonprofit and other public partners. And this is so that while we're giving them the latest and greatest information so they can plan for their road clearing and other opportunities, we also encourage all of our communities to identify warming centers if they need them. So not many communities need them, but when they do, we encourage them to pre-identify a building that can be used for their residents. And then also we update on Hamilton County's website. If you go to the Emergency Management Agency or go to hcready.org, there's a winter weather tab on there, and all of the latest information on the storm front, what we expect, how to protect yourself is all on that website. Where, for example, we partner with our library systems. We have an extensive brick and mortar library system that of course encourages people to come to the library if they need to warm up, charge their phones, hang out. Also, we partner with the YMCAs, who allow people to come into their local YMCAs if they need to warm up. And then, of course, any other entity, Salvation Army, we've got a couple locations for the Salvation Army they've opened up. And then we work closely with everybody to make sure there are options if something should happen.
So that's how it kind of begins. And you're plugged in nationally because we've heard about Michigan, and some things that happen in Michigan. It's just I don't understand it. And when I came in today, they said, the trees are exploding in Michigan. We've never seen anything like it. That kind of information in terms of what's happened in Michigan, what's happened in different areas, because we're dealing with airports and different things. Your agency gets all that. You get to see the lay of the land for the whole country.
Yeah, with Michigan, as I understand, the sap froze in the trees, which then basically sounded like an explosion or acted like an explosion. So it's everything from that to the chill that went through Florida and froze the geckos. If you saw that on TV earlier this week. And geckos freeze and they sort of drop off the trees, and when they warm up, they get back up and they carry on their way. So they encourage people not to touch the geckos. So yeah, it's been an active week. When you talk about, there's been a lot of multi-vehicle accidents around the country, which is why in our messaging, especially as the storm ramps up, you'll see us working through Hamilton County social media, our social media, and others to encourage people to stay off the roads. If you want me to give you the timeline of what they expect with this snow.
Yeah, let's get the timeline.
So we're fortunate right now. We're looking at snow, which is good. So they're looking at basically up to overnight on Saturday night. You'll see light snow throughout the evening. So as more and more cars get off the road, you'll start to see some build up on the streets, maybe 3 to 4 inches. So that's not too much. And then starting about 7 a.m. Sunday, you start to see heavier snow in the county, then we could get to 8 to 12 inches of total accumulation. And the difference is light and fluffy overnight. And then as it warms up in the atmosphere, which then you start to see what they're worried about in Kentucky is the sleet and the ice in Nashville and Tennessee and all the way down to Dallas, Fort Worth, is it'll make the snow heavier, which actually I was talking to the county engineer, Eric Beck, and he said heavier is better because it's easier for them to clear. But the key there is to listen to us when we say, hey, plan now, be prepared, starting Saturday evening, stay home on Sunday, let the plows do their work so they can get the roads cleared, have all of daylight and early evening on Sunday to get the roads cleared, because everybody's going to be out there. Stay out of the way, get your car off the street if you can. And then if you are at home, we have preparedness recommendations on our website. But for example, if you have a large power outage, 50,000, 100,000 customers, whatever it might be, there's no shelter that could be open to accommodate 100,000 people. And so your building's still standing. Make sure you have the blankets. I know I have over the years bought many cell phone chargers, external cell phone. I make sure they're all charged today. So if I need to keep my cell phone charged. So there's lots of different ways you can prepare. Obviously, do the Kroger run, as everybody else is doing. Hopefully, you already did your Kroger run.
Yes.
Pre-treat your sidewalks, pre-treat your driveway. And it's all that, but really starting Saturday night about probably mid-evening, we'll see how it moves through. I'd personally recommend people start getting off the road, but definitely Sunday, stay off the road so that the communities can get those roads cleared, because we're trying to get back to normal by Monday, if we can.
By Monday. Okay, we're talking to Nick Crossley, who is over emergency management. We're talking a winter alert, a serious one, because we haven't had this much snow since when, Nick? It's been a while in this area.
We had, I think the last one we had a month or so ago was 6 inches, at least at my house, in the city. And so we've had 8 inches here and there, but they're calling from 8 to 12. So when you start to get into 12 inches of snow, front-wheel drive really becomes pretty useless, and you really need all-wheel drive. And then if you've got a car that's low to the ground and you got 12 inches of snow, all-wheel drive, doesn't do you much good, right?
Right.
So, which is why we encourage that your best bet is to be prepared to stay home on Sunday. Make sure all your stuff is charged up, and then make sure you have extra blankets or anything else you might need should you encounter a power outage. Now, I will say that with our trees, unlike the South, where they're worried about ice on trees that still have leaves on them, most of our trees do not have leaves on them, which I think will mitigate, hopefully, trees falling on power lines and knocking out power. But we have reached out to Duke Energy. I've talked to Duke. They are prepared to hit the road running, which is another reason to not be on the road. So if they do need to restore power, they need access to the area. So I know that they'll coordinate with our community. So if they need road cleared or things like that, they can get the road cleared. So hopefully not a huge major impact, but we need to be prepared in case something happens.
12 inches is a lot. For me, 1 inch is, I don't like snow. I don't drive really in the snow. I don't like the snow touching my tire. It gets, I get nervous, and I'm nervous about other people because they want to go fast still. So I do stay off the roads. But let's talk about power in terms of, like you said, charging your phones, but it only can be charged so long. Should you have a portable charger? What should you do? Because there are so many people who do not have landlines anymore. I remember at the State House, they want to get rid of landlines. And I kept saying for, times like this is why you probably don't, because if your Wi-Fi could go out. And so that kind of knocks things off too. So tell us about what, people can do or should do, because you won't be able to plug in and you might not have Wi-Fi. You see
a lot of people today, young, older, they have these external batteries. So I've gotten some for free at conferences, and then of course I bought some. So I have probably half a dozen that I make sure they're all lined up and charged, so they can provide me backup power for my cell phone. So obviously, being in emergency management, it's important that we have that kind of power. I think that again, the key is to you mentioned alerting. Hamilton County maintains an alert system called HC Ready, Hamilton County Ready. So our residents can go to hcready.org and log in to Smart 911 and register to get weather update information. So it's all automated, whatever the National Weather Service puts out. But also we use that system if we need to tell people in a certain area to do something, or that there's an emergency they need to pay attention to. Then we encourage them to sign up for that, and that's based on their address. And then we also maintain the system that's based on the location of your cell phone, the wireless emergency alert. We haven't used that in the past, but you never know. If we needed to notify an area of a serious enough emergency, then we can send alerts directly to their cell phone. It's not a text message, it's that pop-up, that wireless emergency alert. And they need to make sure those are active so they can get those messages.
So they would go to right now, going on online to HCReady.
Yep.
.org, and then sign up to get the text alert. So these text messages, you don't have to worry about, did I see the weather channel? Which weather channel do I need? you all will go directly to the people in Hamilton County. You'll get this text, and it'll give you the alerts as they are happening in real time, right?
Yep. So you can go to alerts and warning on our page, and then click on HC Ready, and it'll take you to the Smart 911 sign up page, and you will be able to sign up for our alerts. Also on our weather, on our page currently at the top, you see severe winter weather, and you click on that, and that's where we will update this throughout the weekend with the latest information from the National Weather Service and any other information we need to share. So there's our warming centers, how to receive alert Hamilton County, and then driving tips, travel tips. So obviously, if you are going to be traveling, even if it's in your car, make sure everybody has a jacket, gloves, things like that, in case something happens and you get stuck and you have to walk. Blankets if you can do it. I wouldn't encourage any long distance driving this weekend anywhere. You can't go. I'm not sure where you go that you wouldn't hit north, south, east, or west, a certain distance west, without hitting severe winter weather. And so I think this is the weekend to stay home. I wouldn't go. If you're planning to go to Nashville, you better go today, and then you're going to be in Nashville till Monday or Tuesday, because as you said, Kentucky is at that weird band where they're going to have ice in the south and snow in the north. So unfortunate for them. Tennessee, they're expecting up to a half inch of ice in the Nashville area, which will at least we have the resources to clear snow and start to deal with some of this stuff. In the south, they maintain some of that equipment, but they don't maintain near the equipment that we maintain. And so,
I was in Atlanta one year for the many years ago it was Super Bowl, and they had the dome and everything, the older dome, not the one they got now. And I remember being in there, and we were in the mall, and they shut the whole mall down, and they didn't care. Like, we were in there, we're like, where do we go? What do we do? And everybody, they had never seen snow. I said, where's the salt? Don't y'all have salt? And they, all they knew was salt shakers, that you put on your food. They had no clue. And then the dome was leaking. They went ahead with this, finally could have the Super Bowl, but the dome was leaking. I think that's the year Tony Braxton performed with the Walt Disney World. It was horrible because I said, I didn't come all the way down here to be stuck inside. And they were like, stay inside, don't come out. I was like, this is horrible. And they were totally just, they didn't know anything about a salt truck or anything like that. So you're right. They don't have the infrastructure because they don't have to usually deal with this type of stuff.
Right. They wait for Mother Nature to warm everything up. And the thing about the other thing you have to pay attention to this weekend is the extreme cold. So we'll have negative below zero wind chills on Sunday and Monday. But even then, it'll be in the single digits, even at 12 noon. And then it'll be cold all the way through the middle of next week. So if you're, I think Dr. Fagans with the health department did an interview today where he was talking about being careful while you're shoveling snow. So at my age, I need to be aware, but even younger people, shoveling snow is very, very strenuous. And so you need to moderate yourself. And that's why actually I'd recommend people stay on top of shoveling. So you're shoveling 3 inches at a time instead of trying to get rid of 12 inches. There's a huge difference depending on what you're trying to shovel. So people need to pay attention to their health from the cold and then from exertion if they are trying to clear their property.
Talking to Nick Crossley, emergency management. You gave some tips. I want to go back to the shoveling of the snow. Okay, that is a big deal. And I worry myself because I'm like, how am I going to get all this stuff out of here? But the shoveling of the snow, you hear people who have died of heart attacks or had heart attacks, optic nerve damage. I remember my father went out there and then it hit him with a optic. He didn't have a optic nerve situation until he tried to shovel. But like you said, you want to get out there, you want to get it going. And then, like you said, it's not just older people. You're saying even young people can overdo it in trying to shovel this snow up. So we have to be very careful.
And I would encourage people, if you have a neighbor who needs help out your neighbor if you're able to. Because when you start getting into the 8 to 9 to 12 inches of snow, I've been shoveling that kind of snow my whole life, right? So I'm somewhat used to it. But, you're 70, 80, 90 years old. If you have a neighbor that you can help them out, at least clear their sidewalk so they can get in and out of their house or apartment or wherever they're at, hopefully the property owners will be clearing their properties appropriately. I know in Cincinnati there's a law that you have to clear your sidewalk. It's not enforced. It's pretty hard to enforce. But they do encourage people to get out and clear your sidewalks and businesses to clear their sidewalks. So as you're walking your dog or if you go for a walk during this whole thing, be careful about where you put because you don't want a sprained ankle, because if you think about it, if we're having trouble getting around, now you're calling out an ambulance and who knows if one's available and how long it'll take to get to you. So and I've known a dozen people who've fallen and broken something or twisted an ankle because they just had to go out. And I think so. Don't drive and just try to hunker down and watch some TV, read a book, play a game, whatever it takes to just wait this out. It's literally a day and a half.
Yeah.
And we'll start to see some clearing.
And it's hitting around the weekend time, which is good for most people. I mean, some people work 7 days a week, but for most people it does. I've noticed churches have said, hey, we're going to do it on Friday. We're going to do it early Saturday, so that Sunday, people won't have to try to get out. But shoveling snow, that's very big to put on the agenda that we don't think about. You said go and try to get these portable chargers and be able to have those fully charged so that you can make sure you keep communications. The other thing that I think is important about, they said pre-treatment of course we want pre-treatment of the roads between the city, the county, the state, their responsible areas. But at your home, I've been wondering, what kind of salt am I supposed to put down? My brother-in-law says the salt I had was not the right salt. I don't know what I'm supposed to put down with this type of snow. We're getting ready for 12 inches. Is anything I put down going to help me?
Well, so I think with salt, you look at what the temperature rating is. So I think mine is -10. But the colder it is, the less effective it is. But the reason that I put down a covering is so when I do go to shovel, my hope is that it keeps it loose against the concrete. And so I'll actually be able to clear the concrete and then throw down a little bit more salt and keep it cleared. So that's why I pre-treat. And I live in a condo, so I only have a sidewalk and a small driveway. But I do pre-treat it to hopefully keep it loose so it doesn't stick. And then I go out and shovel it. And then, of course, I have to clear a spot off. I have a dog who's about 6 inches off the ground. So I have to go out and clear part of the yard for him. So we don't have any problems. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that raises the question, too. Keep the pets inside. It's just, if you think it's hard on you, it's especially hard on, if you have outdoor, people think of dogs, but also outdoor cats. Water freezes, the food becomes unedible because it's frozen. So we really need people, don't forget the pets, and make sure you bring the pets in.
Absolutely. And speaking on the salt piece too, again, so my brother-in-law, Dante Stewart, he texts me, says, I need sodium chloride ice melt or any type of rock salt ice melt. This is like foreign language to me. At 10 degrees to 20 degrees below zero. I have no idea what he's talking about. So I said, hey, won't you pick up some for me to help me? But for those who are listening, because there's all kinds of stuff. Someone told me, and I don't know if this works. You got to let me know if this is, because, we have these home remedies. Someone said, let's, you go in the house and get the salt that you season your food with and throw it out there and it'll do something. Will it?
Well, so I grew up in the South in Little Rock, and we had no salt. And so actually that's what I used a long time ago to do the steps. And yeah, it helps break it up. I mean, salt is salt. I mean, you're out there using all your Mortons, out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to literally, funny story. I used to throw it down on, because that's all we had. We didn't buy driveway salt back. This was the 80s and 90s. But that's what we put out. So if that's all I had, I would at least do my steps, because I don't want my wife tripping or me, God forbid, breaking something. But luckily I I use the salt, then I go and restock after the event, and so then I'll do the same thing here. But as you can imagine, I do this for a living. So
Yeah, you emergency management, but you
Yeah.
you heard it right here on Alicia Reece Soul Food that the salt can do something that you have. You're not helpless. If that's all you got to throw it out. But that's what I was told, and like you said, it was from someone older who grew up in the South, and they were like, this can work. And so I said, I never heard of that. So yeah, we heard it here first. It's very important. What about these electric blankets? I got a nice electric blanket, but it won't work if the power goes out. That's
it
the bad.
won't work if the power goes out. So I think they're great if you're. So a lot of people worried about running their heat too high. So obviously keeping your heat going. You need to watch your. I think this is a bigger issue in the South because the North is more used to. Well, I call Cincinnati the North. If you grew up in the South,
I know when I say North, and when I went to school in Louisiana at Grambling State, and they would say I was from the North, but then when I come home, they're like, "You sound like you're from the South." Because
yeah. Well, the people worry about their pipes freezing. I don't think that's a big of a problem here, although it can happen. But I think an electric blanket can help you if you're trying to keep your gas bill down. So, but either one uses power. It just depends on if you're trying to heat the whole place or just yourself. So again, they could have multiple options on hand. But always remember, if the power does go out, it is cold outside. So if you're worried about the stuff in your fridge going bad, you could put that on your porch or your back porch or in your garage. Mine is very cold, and I would literally just take stuff and put it in there to keep it cooled until the power came back on. So I know, again, in the South it's different, but we'd have food go bad because it was cold, but it wasn't cold.
Right. Yeah.
But here, if something does happen, you can always put your stuff on the back porch or on the patio or wherever you have, and keep it cold until the power comes back on.
That's very good information because I was worried about that. Everybody's running to Kroger's, we're stocking up, and then power goes out, and now over $100 worth of groceries goes bad, and that is a disaster. So that is a good tip where you can put it maybe in your garage, or if you have a basement or a cold area, or even like you said on your porch outside, so that your stuff does not go bad, and hopefully the power would come on before then. Let me ask you this: when the power goes out, say the power goes out, what's the first thing a person should do?
I think report it to Duke Energy. So they need to know. The faster they know, the faster they can start assessing it and getting somebody out there to fix it. So that's the first thing you need to do. We have some power outage information on our website, and you can text it to Duke Energy at 578-801, or you can use their app or whatever you want to do. But you can text to them out, and then they'll use your phone number. I'm assuming at that point needs to be connected to your account. So I would have to text it from my wife's phone, but that's a way they need to be notified immediately. And then second, start conserving the heat that you do have. So don't open the doors, don't open the fridge, and then just hunker down. Make sure you've got your be careful with candles always, but you can use candles, flashlights. Make sure you have those batteries going, and then make sure you don't overuse your cell phone unless you have an external battery, so that you don't read that. And then you just have to wait it out, take a nap, whatever, pull out the board game, whatever you want to do, but just have all that stuff already set up so you don't have any issues, so you know where it's at. So you're not trying to find your flashlight in the dark if it happens overnight or something like that.
Yeah. I had the terrible experience of my heat going out when we had our first really cold, cold days here in Hamilton County. My heat went out. I was asleep. I did not know the heat went out, but I kept saying, "Oh, it's getting a little cold in here." But you're asleep and you just don't want to get up. And then when I got up, I started seeing that, I think that's the time we had like a -4 or something.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, my place was 30. I was at 30 degrees inside, and it kept falling. Right. And now I wanted to find out if something like that, like your electric goes out, everything goes out. Now that means your heat goes out. When should you get out the house, or how do you do? What do you do? It's in an instance like that. I had to, I finally had gotten. They was like, get out of there. You can't. but I didn't have 12 inches of snow either in front of me.
But I think, again, it's having those blankets. I mean, I remember last year I was out of town and our power went out and it was extremely cold. And I told my wife, you can go to a hotel if you want to. She goes, no, they just hunkered down and got under 6 layers of blankets and just stay there and stay warm. Another option is make sure it's ventilated. Open your garage if it's in a garage or not in a garage, but you can always go sit in your car and run your car intermittently, or even the best thing to do is go to a friend's house that has power if you're able to get around, right? So obviously, as you said, if there's snow on the ground and no power, hunker down, shut the doors, don't keep opening the doors, don't keep opening everything. Make sure Duke Energy knows that you don't have power, and then just really just wrap yourself up. And I think that's going to be the key. I've worked with Duke Energy a lot. I think they work as fast as possible. They're very responsive. And so they will have every one of their staff on standby because their whole service area is, so what they do is their whole service area is under threat, from here all the way to North Carolina. So they've already contacted power companies outside of the threat area. So if they need to bring in more crews, then they bring them from areas that have not been impacted. And so they'll coordinate with the state to bring in outside crews to help different areas if they need to. Although we have a lot of capability here. This is sort of the core of their Ohio, Kentucky operations, or it is the core. And so they have a lot of capability here. And so I have a lot of faith they'll be able to get stuff restored, hopefully within a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah. What about the garage, automatic garage?
So
you hit it and people say, well, I can't get out. Or I remember one time I was snowed in at the garage because it was high up with the garage. Yeah. I said, how do I get it? I got a hair dryer to try to melt the snow so I could get out. But a lot of the automatic, should anybody be prepared for automatic garage doors?
I know on every garage I've had, you look up, there's that little pull handle up toward the door.
Yeah.
You pull that releases the door and you just roll the door right up. And I think that's the key to, if your power goes out and you need to get your car out of the garage, pull the cord, lift the door up, hopefully be able to drive out at that point. Gotcha. So that's definitely something just to remember, that cord is there and it's on every garage door I've ever seen that has an automatic garage door opener.
Gotcha. Do you think any flights, with this affect, obviously you're in touch with airports as well, being over emergency management. I remember one time I was I went to see my nephew play in Las Vegas, and I remember calling because I heard it was going to be an ice storm coming out, and I'm like, you're like, get out of there now. You're not going to make it back to Cincinnati. And I got on the plane. Everything was great. We got on the plane, and then the plane says, you know how they say something wasn't, so we can't take off yet. So then it's going to be a little longer. And I'm thinking like, no, Nick said, I got to get the heck out of it. I got to beat that. And we didn't beat it. Well, we flew into it. I've never seen that happen in my life. The ice was freezing up the plane as we were trying to, try to land. Then we were sliding. I mean, I had never experienced that in my life. And then my cousin was picking me up from the airport. I thought we were missing all of this. And he said it's just a pile of snow that hit us. And trying to get back across the river, it was, I never experienced anything like it. It was so scary going 5 miles an hour. And it took us almost 3 hours to get back home to the Ohio area. And so this is nothing to really play with when Nick and his crew, emergency management, said it's coming and they see everything all over the country. It's coming.
I think if you haven't already, you start to see airlines, they're starting to cancel flights or reschedule people that are flying on Sunday, maybe even the Monday. I think you're better off proactively rebooking your travel Sunday if you're supposed to travel Saturday. Now it's not just where you're leaving, but it's also where you're going.
Right.
And then of course those planes go different places to come here, and so you've got this cascading impact. And so when you start to see effects in the South starting Saturday during the day, so you got DFW, you got Atlanta, you've got all these major airports that may start to see impacts that then have cascading. So we may be fine and we can get out of Cincinnati no problem, but you may still get rescheduled. And really, it's much better to proactively look at your own options before the airline gives you an option.
Right.
So, but I definitely, I mean, unless the forecast drastically changes, Sunday is going to be a lot of canceled flights from east of us, west of us, all the way to the coast. So the only way you're out of this is if you're just flying around California or something.
Right.
So or along the west coast.
And people trying to get here will have a hard time trying to get back home if they don't get here like today, really.
Yeah, I would imagine anybody who's traveling Saturday, Sunday, Monday has a message in their inbox from their airline asking if they want to rebook. And you want to rebook sooner rather than later because the seats fill up. There's still just X amount of seats available when they start rebooking people.
Absolutely. Well, Nick Crossley, I want to thank you. You always keep us ready. And we first met, I said, I got it now. We got to stay ready so we don't have to get ready. And you do a lot of training and those kind of things. I'll be honest, I get so nervous with these type of things because, you know, like you said, you got to worry about shoveling, but you got to shovel to try to get out. But you're worried about that because you don't want to, you know, get hurt. Lisa Scott, who's just checking in, she says, I've heard of younger people straining their heart trying to shovel snow. So we've got to be careful because this is not a little bit of snow. This is up to 12 inches of snow.
Right.
And that is a lot of snow. We've got to get our portable chargers so we can charge our phones and be ready to go, have all that charged up. Batteries.
Batteries,
talk about that. What is the battery situation?
Batteries. My flashlights are rechargeable, so I'm making sure they're all charged up. But making sure you've got your C&D batteries or whatever size flashlight you have. Lanterns, if you have those. Blankets are important. Layer your clothes. You know, your jacket. There's lots of ways to stay warm. Because they, you know, before modern times, you know, they did it all the time, right? We, you know, as the years go on, we forget that. So I think it's just taking what you probably already have and making sure it's all ready to go. Everything's charged up, candles, batteries, but always be careful. So a couple of things, candles, you know, we've heard about the house fires and candles, right? So be careful using candles. And then generators, make sure generators are outside, not in your garage. We read every night, you know, at least one of these events, we'll hear one unfortunate case of somebody being overcome by carbon monoxide from a generator. Generators need to be outside so they can be fully ventilated if you have to use it to power things in your home. So just keep that in mind with generator safety. You know, anything that produces carbon monoxide, there are propane heaters and stuff like that are safe for indoor use, but just always being aware if there's any kind of issue. And then just again, Saturday afternoon, you're going to start seeing the snow. You'll see snow through Saturday night. And then Sunday, right now, the timeline is Sunday, it really ramps up. And we need people to stay off the roads. If they can get their car off the street, a lot of our cities, people are parking on the street. If you can move your car, that will give the snow plows room to work and get the snow out. Because otherwise, your car may get, you know, then you get the snow pressed up against your car. And you got to remember, you've got to knock that snow loose because if you try to drive your car over it, a lot of them may high center and then get stuck on the frozen snow. So I living in the city, I've seen that a few times in my neighborhood where people don't clear the snow and then they're as I drive by my Jeep, they're sort of sitting here, you know, stuck on the snow and
can't get in their doors.
Yeah, can't get in the doors, can't get their car off the hump. So just think about that now, and we've got time. It's Friday at 12:45. Really starts getting rough Saturday night, and then Sunday.
And then you think it probably may carry over into Monday.
Yeah, I think especially side roads, as you know, side roads are always an issue. They start with the main roads and then start clearing the side roads. So I think you know, you can see some school impacts. I've heard on the media there are people recommending parents start thinking about now if your school closes, be prepared. Employers, be graceful. And I know the county always is. If people have an issue on a snow day, working with their supervisors. So I think that's something to keep in mind as well.
Now tell us about the different levels, and then who makes that determination. I always hear the sheriff office has declared. Do they work with emergency management, or is it totally in the power of the sheriff? And what are the levels?
So the levels are level 1, 2, and 3, and so it is determined by the sheriff's office. So basically, they have deputies all over the county, right? And so they're just evaluating. It's starting to get slick. They're pretty basic road reports. You can see all the traffic maps. You'll start to see orange start to show up, and then when they start to see slick roads, they'll generally call and say, "Hey, we're going to issue a level 1," which is just, "Hey, everybody, the roads are getting rough. Pay attention. Be careful. Stay off the roads if you can." Then, as you saw in the last snow event, they start to see, you'll see police departments go to emergency calls only, phone reporting. Then they'll start to see a lot more problems on the roads, and then they'll issue a level 2, which is we highly recommend you stay off the roads. The roads are becoming impassable. It's very dangerous out here. Basically they're saying give the snowplows room to do their job. So we've always seen a level 2. A level 3 is you must stay off the road. That being said, we've never issued a level 3, but it is there in case it's really that bad. And they're still, and part of it is, are they still seeing a lot of traffic? In the last snow event, actually, again, I live right in the middle of the city, and I actually didn't see a lot of traffic. So people were staying home. It was a weekend then as well, the last big snow event we had. But if they feel like it's that serious, they could issue a level 3, which means theoretically you need to have a reason for being on the road. I mean, they'll be pretty strapped, so I don't see them maybe not pulling people over for it. But if you're out there and you get in a major wreck, but I think that's just sort of a triple reinforcement, if you will, that the roads are bad. We seriously need you to stay off the roads. So they could issue a level 3, and we do. We're in communication. I've already talked to the sheriff's office to prepare for that, and I've communicated with the county engineer. He helps us get information from all our community public works departments, and then they notify us immediately. We then send out an alert to the county. We use Nextdoor, the Nextdoor app. You've seen that application. We use county social media, our social media, and then we send it to all of our communities so that they can then put it on their social media and push it out to their residents. And then we use to alert Hamilton County. We send it to people who've opted in to receive our alerts. So as soon as that, and we do that as soon as it happens. So we don't wait until 8 o'clock the next morning. If I get a notice at 2 a.m. we've got to level 2, then all of this I notify people, and then it all goes out immediately through all these different tools to notify people. So we don't wait to let people know that it's got that bad. So with this event,
see this process, because a lot of times the only thing we'll just go to the weather app, or we'll turn on the news, and that's all we see. But all this behind the scenes coordination, you got the engineer involved, you got the sheriff involved, you got emergency management involved, you got the local governments involved, you've got the state because they do plowing, you've got the county that does plowing, you got whatever city that you live in, they do the plowing, and you've got, like I said, the sheriff's deputies. So you have all this that comes up with, are you a level 1? Are you a level 2? What is level 1? What is level 2? Level 3, just like you said, we've never issued it, but we might be headed that way. I want to say a victim of level 3. I don't know. But when I was a state representative, I had to travel through multiple counties. And you don't think about it when you're just like, I'm hitting 71 and, I'm going to keep straight. And then I'm in Columbus. But you don't think that I'm hitting all these different counties. So I'm leaving Hamilton County and I'm going into Warren, and I'm going all the way up, and where the, outlet mall is and those kind of things. Well, in Hamilton County, we only had a level 1, and I didn't think to check every single county. I knew in Columbus, they were at a level 1. So, and I was expected to be at work and vote and be on time. And so I'm leaving, but then I hit these other areas to get there, and it's getting rough. And I said, dang, there's hardly no cars around. We're at the outlet mall. There's hardly any cars, and it's kind of rough. And I got pulled over, and they said, this is a level 3. You're not supposed to be on the. I said, man, I came from Hamilton County. I don't and I'm headed to Franklin County, and they both are level 1s, and I'm expected to be at work. Of course, you have on your plates rep, so they do out the state rep, and they helped me get it. But they said, "Ma'am, this is dangerous," and I had no idea. Nor did the state, say, "Hey, we need to," because we got people come from all over the state, and they got to go through these other counties. But that's when I learned a level 3, what a level 3 was, when I got pulled over, and it was pretty bad. But
I think if
ever issue it, that's pretty big.
If they did it, usually it's just an education piece. It's not like they really, I think, usually issue tickets for it. But I know that when I travel, so I visit, I have family in Nashville. And when I travel in the winter, I check the weather here, Louisville, Elizabethtown, Bowling Green, all the way to Nashville. I check the weather in 5 different places on the before I leave either end of it. So and that's a good point to make, and I'm glad you make that point, is even if you're just traveling to visit family, a lot of times it's even the more rural you go, the less resources they have to clear the roads, and it takes a bit more time. And so while ODOT may do a great job of clearing our roads, or the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet may do a great job of clearing the interstates, it's not the highway, it's the side roads, it's the exits, it's the elevated overpasses that you have to drive over. And so that's why you've got to check it for your entire trip and sort of try to see what's going on, so you're prepared if something should happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell my sister that because my niece has a tournament, it's in Indiana, and I'm like, "Hey, you better check." She was checking. Oh, well, Hamilton County. If I get out of here by this time, and I'll be back by this time, and it's like, well, you better check these other areas that you got to go through, because they're going to be going into the rural parts of Indiana, and you've got to make sure you don't get
it's coming west to east. It's coming west to east. So that's another thing. What direction is it coming in? So there's just lots of little things to think about. You do not want to get stuck on the middle of nowhere on 65 or 71 or 75, and there's nobody to help you.
Right.
And no cell signal or something like that.
And there's a lot of dead spots when you're on these highways that don't have the Wi-Fi, don't have the infrastructure. What would you say, as we're wrapping up, to churches that have, a lot of churches have their buildings, some of them are older buildings, how they protect their pipes? Of course, we think about, are they having service or not? And they are. Some of them having virtual, those kind of things. But the building themselves, any advice as they, look at their pipes and those kind of things, trying to protect them during this time?
I think all of them are probably talking to their facilities, either department or people. They're looking at them, making sure that the pipes are wrapped or stuff like that. Or sometimes people put in portable heaters or something. But I think for the most part, I haven't read a lot about that problem up here. I hear about it a lot down south, but I think it's just being aware that the weather's coming and what kind of problems can we anticipate. And that's what they need to be. All building owners need to be thinking about that.
Absolutely. Nick Crossley, watching this thing seconds by seconds. Thanks for coming on. And I think hopefully it was, really educational for people to see, how does it, I hear about emergency management, but what do they do? How does it, how does all the information come down? And tell them once again what the reading is for when it's coming.
So I think you'll see light snow overnight on Saturday. And right now the heavy snow starts early Sunday morning, and it snows all day. And so I think, and it's going to be wicked cold.
Wicked cold.
Negative wind chill. So just be aware of that. If you are outside, cover yourself up, wear your layers, and just be careful.
Be careful. All right. Nick Crossley, we're gonna get ready. We got to get ready because it's coming. So he's always saying, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. But if you haven't gotten ready, get ready right now. Get to the supermarket, get what you're supposed to get. Get those batteries like you're supposed to get. Get those portable chargers like you're supposed to get. Get those blankets. I got a whole shopping list. Thank you, Nick.
All right. Thank you very much.
We'll see you on the other side of the 12 inches of snow.
All right. See you later. Bye.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, y'all. Y'all got the information, and it's coming. Nick Crossley said it's coming. This is emergency management who watches this thing over and over. I know we got a couple more minutes. I'm going to talk to y'all then before we break. So, yeah, I wanted to do the show on that because I know that's what everybody's thinking about. I'm talking about it's happening in Michigan, Kentucky, Indiana. It's happening. Nashville. It's happening. It's a winter storm alert. Global warming is real. We're getting hit. Now, of course, we would normally, get some snow. I'm not going to say we don't do it, but we're getting hit hard. He talked about the wind chill. He talked about potentially 12 inches of snow. I can't even believe it. I don't know what I'm going to do. He talked about being careful with shoveling. That's so important. People's health. Folks are having heart attacks out here trying to shovel the snow up. I don't have all the equipment. I'm not going to lie to you. I do not like snow. But I am going to go out and get these portable chargers because I cannot be without communication. And we've got to have some communication. And I'm going to make sure I got enough blankets and all those kind of things because we just got to hunker down. Linda Childs Jeter is checking in. She said, I'm not going anywhere this weekend. Well, she got that big award last weekend at Lincoln Heights Baptist Church, and myself and Dr. Reece, my father, went there. Thank you for the invitation. Got to walk in with the honoree. Linda Childs Jeter was one of the honorees that day at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King Day. And I want to thank Pastor Cook and First Lady Cook and everybody at Lincoln Heights Missionary Baptist Church. They still won't let me. I don't know why y'all won't let me in the choir. I always say that. I'm going to get in one of these choirs, y'all. I'm going to get in it. I'm going to hit my solo. One of these choirs, I'm going to hit my solo. And Pastor Dr. David Minor in the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. I even auditioned when I seen him. I saw him, I said, Jesus went to Calvary. He said, okay. So one of these days, y'all. One of these days. No, I'm just kidding. But please, y'all, please take this seriously. And he even gave some tips about, because I thought about, we go to the grocery store, buy all these groceries, pile up the refrigerator, and then the power go out. Now everything that's spoiled. But he talked about, hey, you might want to take it outside, put it on the porch. Might want to take it in the garage if you got it. Keep it cold. We got to take it back old school. Boy, I wish my grandma was alive. She probably could tell me some stuff, how to do it. Take it back to the old school. And because they survived. They didn't have all these, they didn't have cell phones. They survived. They didn't have cable television and streaming. And they survived. So we got to take it back to the old school. And you guys be safe out there. Don't go out there driving when you don't have to drive. And those out there, slow down. Going 100 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, impatient, blowing your horn. I mean, come on. It's snow out here. Let's take our time so everyone can be safe. The driver, the passenger, and the drivers in the other cars as well. People on the bus. Go, so I seen a yellow bus the other day. Boy, he was swerving and swinging around me, blowing at me. I didn't tell you to run late. All right, y'all. That's it for today. The message is be safe, slow down, take your time, and just be thankful that you're here. Let's do that, okay? All right. I want to give a condolence out to Dr. Chester Pryor, most worshipful grandmaster, past grandmaster of the Prince Hall Masons. He's done so much, but more importantly, he's also a Withrow alum. And condolences to the Roseman family, which I would talk later about, because we lost one of our freedom riders from right here in Cincinnati. All right, y'all. Till next time, be warm, be safe, and remember, you better get ready. All right? Get ready and stay ready. All right, until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.